I'm Guy Shalem. I'm a writer, producer, director, work in Hollywood, California.
Cut off his arm! Get out of the building.
We gotta pump up the sexy factor, right? We gotta play to their weaknesses.
Stay back! And he falls down to the ground.
Whoa, hey.
What? And I think you should take advantage of this opportunity.
You call it an art film? What do you say?
You fucking broke my heart! How dare you!
But
He got the point.
I grew up in Israel, and as a kid I would run and spend hours watching TV and watching movies over and over again, that I felt like I had the need to do that when I grow up, to grow up into being a storyteller. And it's been an interesting journey of figuring out how and where and what medium, especially when the world keeps being reinvented.
But look how sad she looks.
Well, we are not in the business of matching up animals. So we're in a
I can do this.
You can do the, you're gonna do
I can match up this dog with another dog.
LOVESPRING is not in the business of matching
$10,000.
All right.
I can find
That's probably a reasonable price for that kind of a thing.
Come on, what do? You play video games all day. Wow, bravo.
Competitive gaming.
When I was 14, I started making little shorts, little films, and then when I was 16, a producer in Tel Aviv saw it for music videos and asked me if I'd be interested in doing a music video. I then went on to producing something on spec. He saw it, was really intrigued, gave me some money. Back then it was, I think it was like $2 or $3 grand to shoot what appeared to me like an infinite budget. It was, and I shot a music video that won me the title. So I started trying to find a job as a commercial director and as doing other music videos. And then I realized I'm exhausting my options in Israel. There was not a very big industry at the time, and I moved here when I was 18. Started editing. Editing taught me that I knew nothing about storytelling, and it's back to the drawing board. And spent 6 years editing a lot of commercials, a lot of documentaries, short films, and gave up directing. Didn't think I have it in me. And then when I was 25, the guy who my employee. Showed me a piece of a reality show presentation and said, you know, we're pitching a reality show idea. Would you be interested in following these guys behind the scene of the rodeo circuit? Following them, and then we can pitch it as a reality show about the guys working the rodeo circuit, you know, the behind the scene. And my gut reaction was that I'm not going to follow these real people. Like, it's not that, it's going to take a while to wait for it. Let's bring actors, put cowboy hats on them, and pretend like they're cowboys and create the drama.
Well, it ain't my fault.
You've got 3 men and 1 gorgeous woman, and of course you're going to have problems.
I don't think he's got much of a career if you ask anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And manipulate the drama and then cut it into real footage of rodeo guys. And that's really how I discovered the style of working with improvisational storytelling and drama. The short answer is I still don't. Like, there's no, I don't think I think that in our business nobody 100% fits in. It's a process of like what you discover as a storyteller about the stories that you want to tell is things that you discover about yourself. So your own evolution is reflected in your work. And I think that, which is why, like a lot of filmmakers that work I admire, has grown with them, you know, has evolved with them. And I think essentially that's, you know, the only reason I did Rex, which is the project we were talking about earlier, is because I was kind of fed up with the weird world of publicity. and I wanted to kind of make fun of it without making fun of it. Like, how does it work? Is it possible that it's not as genuine as people think? And so essentially, you know, a storyteller is you follow the stories that interest you, and then you find interesting ways of telling it. It depends on the project. There have been projects where, like Family Style, we scripted the whole thing. I mean, we did go off page, but it was, I would say, 70 to 80% scripted. Rex was 80% improvised and 20% scripted. So it depends on what the project calls for, and it's also a decision that you make on set. If you see that the actors, I know a lot of brilliant actors that when you give them lines, they're not as brilliant. It's kind of odd. And then some that are really good when you give them a script. So it's a different, I think as a director, your responsibility is to assimilate to whatever the actors need. And I kind of think that it's a wonderful way of engaging the actor to become a storyteller like you know, and contribute. I've directed projects that were somebody else's, like the NBC thing I did with Betty White. Every line was on a beat. Yeah, so it depends on what the actor wants. My objective is to pull as much out of the actor as possible. If that means giving them the breathing room to open up and show all their colors, then who am I to stop them? What difference does it make? We're shooting on digital, and if the scene can take 10 minutes longer and he can show me the different takes, wonderful. I get, like, a lot of my favorite jokes on LoveSpring came through completely spontaneous decisions made by the actors that nobody even thought about. It happened when another spec that I did for a reality show, and again I coached the actor, got sold, and they offered me a deal at Fox. I must have done close to like 50 pilot presentations like Rex, or that didn't see the light of day. The ones on my website are like selected few. But I had projects set up at NBC and ABC, and it was always the guy who was like, he's doing something really original, but we don't quite know how to market it. I didn't quite see myself as a writer at the time because I wasn't writing dialogue. I would work off of a beat sheet, and I gave him the result, but the process, the production model was very confusing. So on one hand, you're facing this entity that wants it to be processed that they're familiar with. On the other, they love the work. They're intrigued, but they don't know how to replicate it because it kind of happens in my head. My contract was up for renegotiation. So there was a loophole where Jack Plotnick approached me and said, let's do a comedy. Do a comedy. There's all these comedies coming out now done in this style. And he introduced me to a bunch of his friends. And LoveSpring was really my first comedy spec. I met Wendy McLennan-Covey, Jack Plotnick, and Sam Pancake, and Jennifer Cox, a lot of really talented actors, and we got together for a day. We had an office setting. I think I came up with a concept 2 weeks before we shot this presentation. I wanted to do something about a dating service.
I went out with a surfer, and he's paraplegic, and they put him face down on the board, and they just push him out into the water. Can you believe that? And
we kind of molded it as we went. So it was like, this is an interesting idea. No, you shouldn't be the assistant. You should be secretary, because if you're stuck behind the desk, then it's interesting. And you create that freedom that essentially is what they wanted me to have at Fox. We shot it independently. It was in between contracts. They didn't own it. And when Eric McCormick saw it, he was blown away. I was like, this has to be on the air. So he's the one that actually ultimately took it to the networks and convinced, I think Showtime wanted at the time, and Lifetime were really hungry for something like this. And we sold it and got a series order. And then what? How do you turn those into other episodes? So they brought in another showrunner who was great. And there was still the same process with Lionsgate, who was our production company, who's very supportive. I mean, Lionsgate was very supportive. Lifetime, half of it was very supportive. The other half didn't get it. They were trying to figure out how to control the process, when in reality the process had to be organic, had to be done the way we did the presentation tape, which is like, if there's an issue, you figure it out, you reinvent it on the fly. You don't have to, everything has to be pre-planned, pre-thought. And I have so many examples from LOVESPRING I can share, but it's up to you.
I want to go to Paris.
Yes. Finland.
I don't want to go there.
Have you ever had breakfast in Finland?
Never. No.
I don't eat bread.
But we will together, you and I.
Yes.
Why would we ever leave there?
I
What
don't
more do
know.
we need?
Nothing.
You have me, I have
Yes.
you. We've seen everything else.
Totally.
I'd get down on one knee, but I'm up to here at morphine. I can't, I wouldn't get that.
I'll do anything. Yes. Yes to everything you're saying. Yes, absolutely. Please.
So
yes.
it's Roman
Zip
and
it.
Lydia.
Yes.
From here on in.
Actually, and this was a dream of mine, being that Alien was my favorite movie growing up, and Indiana Jones and Aliens, and Alien, the first one, and Veronica Cartwright, I don't know if anybody remembers, she was so excited about doing a comedy. She's been put in all these dramas, so she played the role of Jane Lynch in the presentation tape. We sold it with Veronica Cartwright. I still have the presentation tape somewhere. And I don't know if she was unavailable. There was some issue for Lionsgate. In comes a whole barrage of amazing improv actresses to replace her. We bought her out, and then Jane ultimately won the role. But I think we got to see some incredible actresses. It was great, and Jane, as she says in her biography, Happy Accidents, there's a whole chapter on LOVESPRING and my relationship with her. She too did not understand the process. She hated the process, and he was kind of asking the actors to surrender to the randomness of it all. And I think that once she saw, and she says that in the book, once she saw the first cut, it turned from hater to absolute groupie. Like, she would do anything I tell her to do.
No, I understood after about the third sentence, and I think it's brilliant.
Really? I put a seed up here in the greenhouse and just let it sprout, sprinkle, sprinkle, and let it bloom.
Oh.
She would follow scripts that she would even turn scripts upside down at the last minute.
I will reassign you to another counselor. No, Lydia is wonderful, and she's very sympathetic.
Good.
You know what, though?
In episodes that we didn't even know how we're going to end, she came in with ideas and took the reign. So if anything, she went from somebody who doesn't get the process to completely in love with it and embracing it and contributing to it tremendously. It was a pleasure.
Viola, this is going to take long, sir. Sir, almost. This is going to be painless, sir. Stay where you're at.
I feel that if I can help you out, I can somehow reverse all of the pain that you caused me in my life, so this is what I'm going to do.
To be honest, I didn't take advantage of it. I beat down by a process where you have to fight for every joke and fight for every scene, and then you're asked to describe it again in the room to executives who weren't there. And I didn't do good at that. I didn't perform. I don't think I performed well, and I didn't capitalize on the opportunities I had to take it to the next level, to do a show just like it. So I think I intentionally wanted to work outside the system a little bit. I left my deal with Fox. I started, and I think Rex was the result. I traveled the world a little bit, and then Rex was the result of me saying, you know what, let's get back on the horse and do something independently.
Wow. Yeah.
I just wanted to come and get away from Los Angeles.
And what are you doing in Africa? You're on a safari?
Be with the animals in the jungle and, with all that stuff.
I just need you to get back into town soon. We're supposed to be seen out doing stuff, but you're always with your real boyfriend.
I'm sorry, I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. There's lions and
Look, Paris, you have not been
and...
showing. The controversy contract that we signed states clearly and legally that you're supposed to be seen with me in public places.
You have to give me notice, sometimes months in advance. Because I have to book these things.
What, is that helicopters? I thought you were in Africa.
That is not helicopters, it's actually elephant stampeding.
I think that ultimately, in our search as storytellers, we find that truth is the only thing that doesn't age. The only reason I think that I'm still a fan of a lot of Woody Allen movies that have held up for 30 or 40 years is because they're honest. They're truth. They're true. You know, you can hate him or love him. I hate a lot of his movies. I know a lot of people hate a lot of his movies. They're honest. Annie Hall still holds up today because the performance, the writing, the situation, the awkwardness. I bet you that Seinfeld will still hold up as one of the few TV shows that holds up for 20, for 30 to 40 years because he was honest. It was honest comedy. It was written by honest people. It was performed by honest people. Actors are attracted to material that is honest, which is why in the past I was able to. Paris Hilton didn't want to do it. I had to sit down with her several times and just go, trust me, this is not going to be the baby talk, Paris. It's going to be the real you. And she said, I'm intrigued, but what do you mean? I was like, you know, we're going to work with you. We're going to pull something out of you that people haven't seen before. And she responded to that. And I think that that's what a lot of actors respond to. It was the age of the bloggers where they were starting to dig up material that stands out on the internet and write an article, and we were interviewed by a bunch of different bloggers. Even the New York Post wrote, I think it was the first New York Post wrote about it, and a raving, can still find it if you put Rex and New York Post, and raving review about it, and I think people just took interest. It's so random how our business works, and there's so much luck involved that, you know, I can't just say that it's just the system is, you know, and it's, I partially I think that it's probably, I know that MTV optioned it for a while, and it was tested, and a lot of kids felt like that Simon might be too old for MTV. I know, but he was in his 30s, and like they like to watch kids in their 20s, and he still looks great, but it's too, you know, they might not want to follow a 34-year-old protagonist. And there's so many variables. I mean, I'm always personally shocked when something goes on the air, but I do think that today would have been a different scenario. We would have found a home that is on one of the other outlets that are opening up daily, you know, almost. Get somebody's attention. I know it's silly to say, but you have to have a project that stands out. Like you'll never get an agent that actually believes in you until they believe in something that you are capable of doing. And it can be a 2-minute piece. It doesn't have to be. It can be a 5-minute piece. You know, I last year, like I sometimes do these shorts for Outfest or for film festivals, and I decided not to do one with a cast of known comedians. To 2 unknown actors, and told this like love story called Ronnie and I. I grabbed 2 unknown actors, grabbed an iPhone, invested $500, and went to shoot a 20-minute short on my iPhone from a personal diary. I can send you the link. You can take a look. The trailer is online. Bryan Singer puts his name on it. Jane Lynch puts her name on it. We get into Cannes. We get into all these film festivals. And these actors are who one has never acted before in anything, has gotten agents and managers and wanted to meet them. They could have shot that on their own with their iPhone. So you can do anything. You can get attention anywhere.
I know. Hi, Michael Nutter.
Oh my gosh, Michael, I'm so sorry. Phoebe.
Yeah,
Phoebe, of course. Oh, hi, honey. I represent Phoebe.
So.
Yes, I didn't know you were reading for this.
Monica, hi, Michael Nutter.
So Michael and I, Michael guest starred in Lovespring. Michael McDonald, who I think is quite a brilliant actor, and I loved him since Mad TV. Always been a fan, and he came to me one day and said, you know, let's do a presentation pilot together. Let's try to sell it. And the world that he was excited about is the world of showbiz dads. So what if there's dads who live vicariously through their daughters?
Phoebe didn't get the commercial. There. Michael, come back on the phone, please.
He wanted to use he wanted to use like a 16-year-old playing 14-year-old, and I thought it's never gonna work. She needs to be 10 for the tension to work. She has to. So I just hung out with her. Like we got ice cream and we talked, and I got to get into the mind of a 10-year-old, and we'd like spend some time with her parents. And I think the fact that Uncle Guy became Uncle Guy, not just that intimidating director, helped her give 100% performance. Like she's improvising some of this. I'm not kidding. Like it is amazing. And the older daughter, it's amazing. I barely had to direct her. Like she was playing herself. So I think I would say a lot of it is insisting on the right cast, and then making them comfortable, making them want to work with you, making them want to show their colors. For me, it's what Christopher Guest does and what Woody Allen does. It's like you have a roster of actors that you think can really do this kind of performance, and then you plug them into a project. I have like 5 I'm eyeing right now that I'm dying to do a project with. Haven't found the right thing. But I'm always, and this is something that I guess I should say to your audience, I'm always interested in meeting new actors who are entrepreneurs, you know, who kind of like, I have an idea, and this is like, and I love passion. I think I completely capitalize on people's passion. So that's my currency. I love when actors reach out to me, first of all, like especially if you have something to show. Just make yourself visible. Make yourself visible. That it's really the big thing that actors have to remember is make something that gets people's attention. Connect with other actors and then shoot something together. Don't limit your, just try to make shit happen. It really is the only way to get people's attention, I think. I think that for me, it was that I let myself, for a part in my career, somewhere in my career, let success get the best of me. Like I think that a lot of times I forgot that it's about, and I've seen this with a lot of my friends who are exceptionally successful, you become from a yes person to a no person. And in the no phase, you self-sabotage, you destroy, you self-destruct. You know, be a yes person. Just if you have the time, go meet with directors, with writers, with other actors. Try to make stuff happen. It doesn't. I just shot a movie on an iPhone that got into Cannes, that Bryan Singer put his name on it. And I don't think that any actor in this town should have an excuse when technology like this is available to not do something compelling in the 3, 4, 5, 20-minute medium. You know, do something exciting. Send it to me. I'd love to take a look. There was a period in my life where I didn't want to touch alcohol. I literally was going completely, and I have to tell you, it was right after. So I did a lot of traveling. I traveled the world. I took myself outside the system, which was actually important sometimes to do. When the system overwhelms you, take yourself outside of it. I went to Africa for 3 months. You can actually see on my Facebook some of my photo albums. Like, went to South America, traveled the world, and you kind of get a perspective on what life is about outside of Hollywood, which is very important. I spent time in a tent in Africa where people making live off $1 or $2 a day, and that's, you kind of get to see that they're actually they were sweeter than I was at the time. Let's just say that. And I think that it is important to get perspective. And I think that whatever it takes to get that perspective will help you in your career. I think that ultimately it's not about, I think that a lot of times we're more self-sabotaging than we care to admit. And my second advice is get into a relationship. I know I have to, you know, I've changed dramatically since I got married, so. Cool.